The result of the earlier Concord judgment regarding the former president, what's happening with the country's sitting president? It's another day, another major ruling expected at this apex court, the Concord. This time it concerns the CR17 election campaign. The major questions today are whether President Ramaphosa misled Parliament about donations made to his campaign for the ANC presidency, and here's the second problem, whether or not the public protector, Mkhwebane, had the scope to investigate the funding of the campaign. In that report, the public protector found that Ramaphosa deliberately misled Parliament, but the court set that aside. So where are we on this very complicated matter? Luckily, we have still camping outside a court for us this week, Viwe Mtila, to unpack that for us. So what are we expecting, and what time is court expected to start?
Well, Gareth, this time around, I'm inside the highest court in the land. We're expecting around 10 a.m. this morning, all eyes to be at the Constitutional Court once more in a matter between the public protector and the president. The Constitutional Court is expected to determine whether President Cyril Ramaphosa misled Parliament around R500,000 that was donated to his CR17 campaign by African Global Operation, which was previously known as Bosasa, back in 2017 in his bid to become the ANC president. This court is also expected to determine whether the public protector, Mkhwebane, had the scope to investigate that CR17 campaign. You remember that bombshell report that came out from the public protector back in 2019, July, which even spoke of suspicion of money laundering from the CR17 campaign, touting millions and millions that were put into that campaign. Remember that the president then went on to take that on review, and essentially the Gauteng High Court back in March last year dismissed that report. I just want to read you an extract that came out of the High Court that stated that the court found that Mkhwebane displayed a complete lack of basic knowledge of law and its application, and in fact calling some of her finding unfathomable. Then the public protector went on to the highest court in the land, and in fact we saw that play out last November last year in that matter, and the judgment is expected today. But just to give you even a better understanding of this, my colleague Masego Rakhala put together this insert. Just take a look at this.
All eyes will be on the Constitutional Court again this week. This time, the court hands down judgment on whether President Cyril Ramaphosa lied to Parliament and, in turn, the nation. It was an emphatic victory last March for Ramaphosa when the High Court in Pretoria set aside Public Protector Mkhwebane's report into his CR17 campaign for ANC President. A full bench of the court found that Mkhwebane's findings were irrational.
In her treatment of this issue, the public protector demonstrated a fundamentally flawed approach to the principles underpinning the question of whether the president violated the executive code.
And the blows to Mkhwebane didn't end there, with the punitive cost order also attached.
She also showed a complete lack of basic knowledge of the law and its application. She clearly did not acquaint herself with the relevant law that actually defines and establishes the offense of money laundering before making serious, unsubstantiated findings of money laundering against a duly elected head of state.
In her report released in 2017, the public protector said there was merit in a suspicion of money laundering as well.
I have evidence which indicates that some of the money collected through the CR17 campaign account was transferred into Cyril Ramaphosa Foundation account.
The president responded to the report when he announced that he would take it on review.
The report contains numerous factual inaccuracies of a material nature. The findings we found are wrong in law, are irrational, and in some instances exceed the scope of the powers of the public protector. Furthermore, in failing to provide me with an opportunity to comment on the proposed remedial action, the public protector has violated the provisions of the Public Protector Act, the Constitution, and the principles of our common law.
The High Court agreed with the president a few months later, and today We will find out if the Constitutional Court will take the same stance. Masego Ratlaga, Johannesburg.
All right, Aviwa, just before I let you go, let's just take viewers back to where this issue started all those years ago. It was the former DA leader, Mkhwebane, who raised this question in Parliament, wasn't it?
It was indeed a Q&A session in Parliament back in 2018, in fact, where the President answered around the funding, R500,000 that went in to understand his son account. So the President went on there to say that it was a business transaction in Parliament. But then, some 3 weeks later, the President backtracked then stating that it was for the CR17 presidential campaign funding to become the president of the ANC. But this was done without his knowledge. He said he wasn't aware of it. He's not part of the funding. So after then consulting and just checking the facts of this, he then went on to find out that this was done without his knowledge. So that's where the bone of contention then came in, and then the public protector went on to review this, and in fact that bombshell report came out in July 2019 from the public protector, which was dismissed by a full bench of the Gauteng High Court back in March, in fact with punitive costs measures for the public protector back in March 2020. Public Protector went on then to take this on appeal. Hence, we at the High Court, now, I beg your pardon, the Constitutional Court, the apex court of the land, the highest, in fact, where we're expecting at 10 o'clock to get that judgment on whether, on those two crucial matters, whether the President misled Parliament and whether the Public Protector had the scope to, in fact, investigate the details around the CR17 funding, Gareth.
Well, Aviwa Mtila, for the moment, thank you very much. Busy day ahead for you, and also we'll be bringing it to you live here on eNCA from 10 o'clock this morning.